Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a project recipe for the new collection called Legacy of Love. And though it is a very, let's see, I don't know what the right terminology. I think what I came up with in the video is that it's just a very clean color palette because it's browns and sepias and grays and blacks and charcoal and that kind of thing, all sort of working together, which I love. And it gives it a very heritage feel, but you can use this type of a collection with any photos. It's really good to have a neutral collection in your stash. You'll be surprised how often you'll reach for it and grab it. So even if you're not doing a heritage album right now, that's okay. If you don't have something in neutrals like this, or if if you just want to kind of beef that area of your stash up, this is an excellent one to use for that. So let's check it out. I'm going to go over all the products that are available now, and so that you can see them. And then we'll do the project recipe. Let's check out my workspace and we'll get started. All right, I'm awfully sorry about the glare here in my workspace today, but I wanted to share with you, in case you haven't already seen them, the new Through the Years packets. I don't know what else to call them exactly. This is a little bit like the Growing Up series that we just had, where there were several, I think there were 6 different sub-themes sort of to that collection. This collection is sort of goes along with the new collection Legacy of Love, which we're going to talk about and do the project recipe for today. But these are sub-collections of that. And this one, Legacy of Love, the color palette, as you can see, is very very classic, very I don't want to say boring. I'm not trying to say that at all. It's very clean. You've got black, white, beige, gray, and hot fudge, the dark brown. So a very classic, very clean cut color base there. And it will complement colors in these packets, which is really cool. And I love that they have come up with themes that apply to different time periods, because I just think that's really, really special. So the first one is, well, actually, if we start with the furthest one back is not the 80s. That's my year. Oh my gosh, I thought these were in order. They are not in order at all. Sorry about that. Okay, so the 20s and 30s, and the 20s and 30s features cranberry and black and cream and this gold color, which they don't represent up here, but very, very indicative of the 20s. And the paper pack is super fun. If you are throwing a Roaring 20s party, or you are into drama at all at school or with your kids, this is one that you ought to have in your stash. Super fun. You've got a piano in here. You've got an old-time movie projector. You've got musical notes and instruments, and just some really, really neat, a phonograph, an old car, just really, really cool stuff. So then you've also got, then moving on to the 40s and 50s, a little bit brighter colors, some kind of more jazzy patterns as well, stars. You've got red and Island Waters, again with the classic cream, but adding navy now, which is nice. And you've got things more like the cinema, because the cinema was kind of born in the 40s and 50s. And so you've got the cinema, you've got other snazzy cars and hats. The Slinky, guys, how fun is that? And records, the electric guitar, typewriters, things like that, which are all, again, really indicative of that time frame. Then we've got the 60s and 70s. Woo! This one's really bright with the oranges and the teals. And you'll recognize these two patterns from those really cool pea storage totes that you hopefully you got as a gift with purchase here recently. So really, really cool there. And then you can see up here the colors of cardstock that match are canary, tangerine, pumpkin, again with the classic cream, and the hot fudge, which also match Legacy of Love. And then the stickers with this are very flower child, as we used to call them in my era. But you've got the VW van down here, good vibes, peace. Oh no, I guess this is peace, not hang loose, but peace. You've got guitars and rainbows, and this reminds me of my childhood. I had a sleeping bag that very much matches this. Okay, then we had the 80s and the 90s, which is really more my era, but and these are more vibrant colors, but I kind of wish they were toned up just a little bit more. This one especially, because we had all those fluorescent colors. Remember, if you were around in that era, we had a lot of bright colors in the 80s. But here we have solar yellow, red, cranberry, navy, or sorry, that's blue and black, and definitely some more indicative of that era. We've got video games, we've got a muscle car, we've got the beatbox, and the hard disks that we all used in the computers back then. If you're younger than I am, then you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but that's okay. That's okay. So a lot of things very indicative of our era. Hairspray, woo, bangs to the sky, right? That was very much what we did in the 80s and the 90s. Okay, then we've got the 2000s to the 2010s. And this one is much more subdued than I would have expected as well. But you've got some more purple tones, and again with the island waters, baby blue, purple ice, cranberry, and much more emoji leaning. This pack we've got Y2K, which we all seem to kind of forget about. Bling with bright, flashy gems, tennis shoes. I think that's a Subaru. And a truck and rollerblades, and just really fun stuff to look through and have this in your arsenal, especially if you're doing an album of growing up years or something like that. And that's what I got excited about for this, because that's, I think, my next big project. So super fun. I hope you have these in your stash. If you don't, they are still available, so go to my website or go to your website if you are a CM advisor, and make sure you get those, because they will be handy to have. But let's talk about Legacy of Love for just a minute. We're going to do the project recipe for this one today, and I wanted to talk to you about several of the components for this. So they've come out with 2 additional colors of the write-on stickers, so if you like having those and using those to add journaling to your pages, these are going to be perfect, especially to go with your Legacy of Love collection. You've got the cream color now, or ivory, and you've got black. So, and in addition to having the black write-on stickers, they also have made the Jelly Roll pen, the white Jelly Roll pen in the 08 size, is what I feel, have recommended since they made it available for us. And that sort of validated me because I've been using these for a really long time, and so it made me feel really good when I saw that this was the pen that they chose. I've also used another one that I get off of Amazon. I think it's made in Japan. This one is also made in Japan, so I feel good about recommending this to you. Unfortunately, they are all sold out on the website. I hope they're going to get more of them, but I have not seen any notes about that. So if you know whether they're going to be getting more, if you could put a comment for everybody, that would be fantastic. Okay, so we've got the write-on stickers, and let's talk about corners. So we've also got now black corners and ivory corners. Cream. They're calling these cream. See, that's why I keep getting them confused. Sometimes it's cream, sometimes it's ivory. But have you ever used photo corners in an album that you've made? Oh my gosh, they add such a nice touch, especially if it's a heritage album. It is one of those things that takes me back to looking at my grandmother's or great-grandmother's scrapbook albums. You remember the old ones on the black pages that are, if you have any of those, they're falling apart right about now, most of them. So if you want to make your album feel authentic and have that sort of heritage feel, these are an excellent way of doing that. I would definitely get you some of these. And they are available now, so jump in and get them. Okay, so the other things this collection has along with it are, of course, these beautiful laser cut borders. Let's just get them out and take a look, shall we? They are so cool and have such neat patterns. You get one of each of these in each package. So if you, like me, enjoy doing 2-page layouts, you'll want to have 2 packages of these in order to have the same border on each side. And these are not printed on the back, so they are white on the back, just so that you know. But aren't those cool? And they go with all of the patterns in this collection so nicely. Let me show you the stickers. So the stickers that are with this collection very much continue the theme. And wow, 2-cent stamp. That was even before my time. Here are the 12-inch border stickers, which you could use incorporated with the laser stickers. Very cool. And then the title stickers. Everybody has a story to tell. Where we belong, life well lived, making moments count. Our life is a collection of happy moments. I love that this has come out this month because for me, it points towards the longest day, which is happening on the 21st of June. And if you are not already a part of a fundraiser for the longest day and the Alzheimer's Association, let me just go ahead and put another plug in for that. I am so lucky and so blessed to be a creator for a wonderful fundraiser that Nicole So has helped to organize with a bunch of other Rockstar advisors. There are 15 CM advisors who will be contributing content to this virtual event. It will be recorded, and you will be able to watch the different classes whenever it's convenient for you. And you will just be asked to make a $35 donation. If you are able to donate more than that, please do. It's a very worthwhile cause because, as we all know, memories are important, and they can be magical, and they are just so important. So I feel like this collection has definitely come out at an important time. We also have an embellishment pack and a matte pack that go with this. If you haven't noticed yet, we have redone the way the matte packs are being done. Our home office listened to many comments, and they have made the matte packs smaller in number, but not smaller in size. However, they are mainly, this is the 4.5 by 6.5 inch mat. So if you prefer the smaller mat, you just trim this down. And they're just full of all kinds of great words of inspiration, lots of different patterns. Here's another one. This is what I love. Lots of possibilities for different ways to use the mats in this. Here's some half mats that you can cut apart and use to help embellish your pages. The story begins, good times were had, my sweetheart, you know, just lots of different things, but really neat sentiments on those. And because there are only 12 rather than 24, they're less expensive. So that works for everyone, doesn't it? And then the, let me go ahead and move these a bit. Let's just, since we got those out, let's get the embellishments out real quick too. Because it's just fun to see them all out and on display. All right. So again, this is Legacy of Love, and these are the cut. Oh, I love that. That may have to go in my Ireland album. So cool. Look at this, Emily. I have Emily studying over here.
Say it again.
Isn't that cool?
It is very cool.
I think it might need to go in our Ireland album.
Yes.
Anyway. Sorry, she has her headphones on and I'm disturbing her.
Hi, everybody.
School never sleeps, even in the summertime. Okay.
I never sleep.
Which means you never sleep. That's right. So sorry. This too shall pass. Okay, so
Like
family pass like a kidney stone sometimes. Look at all of these. These are just the coolest. Oh my goodness, look at that telephone. Wow. So fun. So fun. A nice clock. I love it. And a key. And life, love, and legacy. So really fun embellishments. And I have to tell you, you are going to want the Buy It All bundle, because you also, in addition to all of these things, you get the Border Maker cartridge, which is brand new. And this is one that you could cut apart and make into 2 separate borders. This one is called the Geometric Gems, and we're going to use it today in the layout we're going to do in just a minute. But I wanted to share with you that the creator of the project playbook that goes with this collection is Sachio Mitsu, and I just love Sachi's designs. She is such a sweet soul, and she comes up with some really great things. If you have not noticed that from looking at the blog, then pay attention next time that you are looking at a project on the CM blog, because she is a regular contributor to that, and she comes up with some really great things. The project playbooks, in case you don't remember, are not really intended to use every piece in the collection. However, I think she came pretty close with this. So you're going to use up quite a bit of your collection if you want to use the project playbook. We are not going to make a layout from this today. We're going to make we're we're going to make the project recipe that was designed, and I'm not sure who designed that. I don't think Sachi designed that, but I could be wrong. But I do know that she made the project playbook, and there is just some really great stuff in here. You get a cutting guide, of course, you get samples of all the layouts, and it's just fantastic. So I really hope that you will look into that. And then we have the paper that goes with Legacy of Love. And of course it goes with all of these classic colors up here, but you've got everything from kind of a polka dot thing to the large letters that mimic the cover set that was designed to go with this, which always makes me think of a library when I see letters done that way. I don't know why. You've got some different textured papers in here too, which I really appreciate. You've got this dark one right here, which you can't tell on the video because I can barely tell looking at it through the plastic, but it actually sort of looks a little bit like a tire tread, which is kind of interesting to include, but it's cool. You've got this one that looks a lot like a map. You've got this one that's just kind of a worn textured paper, this one that's more like a ledger. You've got this one that's a little bit like leaves and just sort of splotchy. You've got, you know, just a lot of different choices, and I love the way they have meshed the browns and blacks and creams together and with the gray. I just think it's well done. This whole collection is just really, really well done. All right, so let me clear off these embellishments that I have spread everywhere on my table, and we will jump into the project recipe that goes along with this. Now I actually used a different paper pack, and I created this project recipe for some friends that I went and spent Memorial Day weekend with in California. And they all went ahead and did this project recipe using patriotic papers. And so I'm going to show you that version when we're done, and you can get a first-hand sampling of the possibilities with this project recipe. It's really quite flexible, and you could use it with any collection. And so I hope that it's something that will help you as you create. We are going to use these 4 papers, and they are direct out of this collection. We're going to use permanent and repositionable adhesive, but they're going to sit over there until we get to them. And we are going to use the new Geometric Gems Border Maker cartridge. Okay, so these 4 papers. Now, something you should know about this particular project recipe is that it must be made on a base piece of paper or directly onto a page. You're not going to have enough paper to assemble this layout without having a base page. So it'll tell you, the very first instruction says, use 2 sheets of bright white solid cardstock for the base page. So let me grab that and we'll get started. Now I don't have any bright white on hand, so I'm just going to use regular old white. And if you have white and bright white right next to each other, you will be able to see a difference. But honestly, if you don't have them right next to each other, they're very hard to tell apart. So I am not worried. We're just going to use white today, okay? And we're going to need to cut and punch several of these papers. So we're going to put the white papers up there, and we're going to switch over to the cutting guide. All right, so we are going to need pretty much two full sheets of paper and about half of a sheet of 2 more pieces of paper. How is that for explaining? And that is all we are going to need to do this one. So I'm going to go ahead and tuck this up here, and we are going to move that back just a bit so we have a little more light on the situation. Okay, so we're going to use this sort of, the pattern for this, or the name for this pattern just kind of flew out of my brain. It has a name though, and it'll come to me probably in the shower tomorrow morning. Okay, but that's all right. We are going to cut 2 pieces from this, and then we're going to come back to this, and we are going to punch some pieces. Now, this first paper that's represented by the pink on your cutting guide is really important because you have 2 virtual pieces you're cutting, 2 vertical pieces that you're cutting, but then you are going to punch 3 borders, and the 3 borders are meant to be from the paper on the back. So you need to like both sides of this first designer paper number 1. And so I am going to, first off, I'm going to cut a piece that is 3 inches. So I'm going to line this up at 3 inches with my diamonds vertical. Okay, so we're going to go 3 inches, then we're going to go 3 3/4 of an inch. So 3 3/4 of an inch. All right, there we go. And then we're going to set this one aside, and we're going to punch some with that in just a few minutes. All right, then I'm going to take this brown paper, sort of golden caramely colored brown, with a sort of diagonal darker shade, tone on tone through it. This is meant to be mattes for this, so we're going to cut it into 3 columns that are 4 by 12, first of all. So we're going to go just like that. Then we're going to stack all 3 of these pieces of paper. And if you're not comfortable with stacking, you can do this one at a time. But we're going to cut all 3 of these in half at 6 inches. So using the shoulder at the top of my trimmer, I'm going to line up the edge with my little cheater tab right there so that I know where 6 inches is. We're going to cut those in half. Okay? Then I'm going to take the top 2 from each of those stacks, and I'm going to set the rest aside. We're going to stack those top 2 together, and we're going to cut those in half at 3 inches. So I'm going to lift that up, slide this under, and we're going to line it up at 3 inches and go ahead and cut. All right, so those are mats. They're going to just hang out over here on the side and wait for us. Then I'm going to take this sort of marbly looking textured paper. I love that there's just kind of some phantom writing going on this paper. It's just so, I don't know, I just really like it, especially for the themes that we have going on in this. So we're going to make one cut at 1 1/4, and I'm going to measure that on the right hand side of my cutting blade. So we're going to cut at 1 1/4, and then we're going to cut another piece at 1 1/2. Okay, so we've got 2 pieces of that, one at 1 1/4 by 12, one at 1 1/2 by 12, and then we're going to set this back over here so we can use it again. This one with all the kind of leaves on it, we're going to cut 2 pieces at 2 1/4. So I have to use my measurements on the right hand or left hand side of my cutting blade because the right hand side doesn't go to 2 1/4. We're going to cut 2 at 2 1/4. And this one is rather important that you pay attention. If you are using a directional paper for this cut, the yellow designer paper number 4, make sure that you are cutting with the top of the page to the left over here, not at the top of your trimmer. Make sure it's over here. This design is very fluid. There's no real right or wrong, top or bottom to it. So I'm not worried about that, but if you have a directional paper you're using, be sure that you turn it, because this paper or this piece is going to go horizontally across your page, and you don't want it to be sideways. Okay? All right. So we have all of our pieces cut, but we need to punch just a couple before we get started. So I'm going to just put those right up there. I'm going to grab my border maker system, and we're going to go ahead and flip this over, and we're going to add this paper, load it right into the border maker. Okay, we're going to grab the housing, pop that border maker cartridge in, and we're going to punch. We're going to punch and punch all the way down. Punch and slide. Punch and slide. Okay, so there's one. And you're not going to be, because of the nature of the cut pattern, you're not going to necessarily see any pattern in this paper. So that was one of the reasons why I thought this would be good for this particular, I thought this would be a good choice for designer paper number 1, because there's just enough of a pattern to this side of the paper that it lends itself well to being punched into a shape. If you're ever not sure, if you're trying to duplicate a project recipe on your own, but using a collection or some paper that is not the paper that the collection, or that the not the paper that the project recipe was designed for, I find it helpful to pay particular attention to the papers that are in the photo, the sample photo of the design, and then choose my papers based on the shade of those, of the papers that were selected by the people at the designers at home office. Let me show you what I mean. So you can see here that this paper right here is these two papers, the pink, the 3-inch and the 3 3/4 inch papers are these two. And you can see in the sample that they are kind of a lighter printed design. So if when you choose your papers to do this, if you look through the papers in the collection that you have, choose one to represent this paper that you like both sides of, again, and that has one side with a kind of a lighter design and another side with a darker design, so that the flip side is kind of darker, because you want it to show up. Can you see how these borders are poking out from behind these mats and some other places? You want to be able to see that. So you pay attention to the fact that they used a really light one here and a dark one, with a dark one on the flip side of that. Okay? And then they've got a darker one, kind of medium-ish, on that immediate edge. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm going to grab my base sheets, and we're going to go ahead and get these assembled real quick. Let me scooch that over, and I'm going to start with the smaller of the two of these. So remember, one's at 3 inches, one's at 3 3/4. So we're going to start with the smaller one, the one on the left, and we're going to adhere this to the center edge of our cardstock. Got that. Then we're going to take this, the one with the writing on it, the one that we had the writing on it. We're going to, I'm just going to put 2 small ones there, and we're just going to go right down the middle. Do one on either edge or either corner all the way down. This one's going to go right on the edge of that. Okay. Now, we want to grab our sticker pack, and you want your 12-inch stickers, and we're going to take one and we're going to put it right down the edge, that outside edge there. And because I've got kind of a brown, I'm kind of leaning towards brown tones, I think I'm going to go with this sort of arch scallop looking piece. Okay, and because I can, I'm just going to go ahead and lay it down flush with the edge rather than laying it over the edge. Such a sweet patterned sticker. I really like that. Just adds just a little bit, just enough. Okay, then we're going to come in here with our leaf patterned paper. Remember, this is the one that I said it was going to be horizontal, and you needed to pay attention to that. This one's going to be placed, I think it was 2.5 inches up from the bottom. So if you have a mat you're working on, and I highly recommend that you work on a mat, you want to place this about 2.5 inches from the bottom edge. So the bottom edge of this is going to be 2.5 inches between here and here. All right, so that works. Okay, let's do the other side, and we'll get the other side that far. So here's our base sheet. So we're going to start again with the 3 3/4 piece. And we're going to go to the left edge this time to put down that big wide piece. All right, then we're going to grab again that smaller piece with the words kind of scrawled here and there. And this is going to go flush with that, straight up. Okay, then we're going to grab this other sticker and put this on that outside edge, just like we did on the other side. So now we'll do the horizontal piece. And again, we need this to be roughly 2.5 inches up from the bottom. So I'm going to line up my base sheets so I can see where that 2.5 inch mark is. Now, if you don't have anything that you can measure that with, then just eyeball it and make sure that the one on this side matches. Okay, so line up your papers like this, and then go ahead and lay them down so that they are starting at the same point. All right, now we are going to take the punched pieces, and we needed to trim those, which I neglected to do, so I'm going to refer back over here. It's going to say that two of our punched borders we need to trim to 10 3/4. So to do that, I'm going to pull out my 12-inch trimmer, pull out the arm. I'm going to take 2 of these borders and I'm going to stack them up. And I'm going to line them up with 10 3/4 of an inch. So 10 3/4 is right there. We're going to make sure they're straight and together. And we're going to come in here and cut those right off. Okay? Set those other 2 little pieces aside. And then this one we're going to cut into, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to cut this one in half at 6 inches. And then I'm going to stack it. And I'm going to cut it in half again at 3 inches. All right, and then set those aside. We'll get back to them in just a minute. Don't put them too far away. All right. Now, referring back to our sample. So let's pay attention to this right-hand side first, okay? So you can see here, looking at the diagram, that you have 2 piece A and piece C, or piece B and piece C go underneath the mats right here. And this is piece A and piece B and piece C. I'm so sorry. Hopefully I am not totally confusing you. So we're going to add some repositionable adhesive. Whenever I'm adhering anything that has holes in it like this does, I always use repositionable adhesive, even if I don't think I'm going to need to pick it up and move it. It's just easier and more convenient in case I do need to move it. Okay, so I'm going to set one of these about a 1/2 inch down from the top and about a 1/2 inch from the seam between the 2 papers. Okay, so it's just going to go straight down. And then this one, this next one, is going to be about a 1/2 inch from the bottom. And it's going to kind of nestle right in with the other one and give you about an 1/8 of an inch between the sort of diamond shapes. Does that make sense? So that's how much space I'm giving it anyway, about an 1/8 of an inch. So it's just offset, just a tiny bit right in there, okay? All right, now let's go ahead and put our mats on this page so that we can see this starting to come together. So we've got 2 4x6 mats, and we've got 3 3x4s. Okay, and they're going to go just about like that. But let's go ahead, and I'm going to adhere mine with some repositionable adhesive right in the middle of the mat. And I do that because I don't have photos that I know of yet for this, and so I want to make sure that if I have a vertical photo, I can pop this off and go ahead and turn it without too much trouble. Okay, now that repositionable adhesive on the back of this right there in the middle could take some color off of this paper right here, but it's okay because even if I turn this around, the likelihood is I'm going to have that covered. So I'm not worried about that. All right, so then I'm going to place this about an 1/8 of an inch above that mat and just sort of set it down. Okay, I'm about an 1/8 of an inch below our horizontal piece here, and about a 1/2 of an inch overlapping the one and let's see, what was it, 1 1/4 piece with the words on it in here. So that will help you get started placing those. Now I'm going to do the same thing with these because I might have one that needs to be vertical at some point. So I'm going to want to give myself that out, so to speak. And this one's going to be roughly 1/8 of an inch up from the horizontal piece and 1/2 an inch or so in from the center. That's going to be where I'm placing it. And then each of these will be roughly 1/8 of an inch down or in between. Okay, that's going to give you the same border here on either side of it, the same space. Okay, now that also means that we can barely see our borders at the top here. So if you want to, you could adjust this down just a little bit and make this a little lower. I'm going to do that just so that my borders are a little easier to be seen. And I don't know exactly why that is, except that it looks like this. Oh, I don't know why that is, because I think I lined things up pretty close to the way that they did. Not exactly, but fairly close. That's okay. I'm just going to move these down. Repositionable is so great that way. You can just lift it up and move it down. Okay, so there's that. Let's switch over to the left-hand side of the layout and do our vertical mats. Okay, so we're just going to put some repositionable adhesive again right in the middle of those mats. And then we're going to start with the one in the center, or the one closest to the center, and it's going to be, let's say about 5/8 of an inch or so up from the bottom of the horizontal piece. So about there. And making this straight is important, even though it's just in there temporarily. And then this one's going to go about 1/8 of an inch over from it. And this one is about 1/2 an inch higher. So like that. Now, underneath these two, we are going to add some more of our punched border. Okay, so I'm going to add repositionable pretty much all the way down 2 of these, and we're going to add them underneath here. And it's really more about how much you want to see of this. You can add it however makes you happy. If you really like the design and you want to see a lot of it, then make it extend farther. If you're not really sure, you don't have to. You can make it shorter. It's up to you. Okay, so I'm just going to go with it like that. And it looks like the designer that created this actually cut the ends of hers, which I didn't notice until just now. So we could go ahead and do that. Get my, I haven't even used these yet. Let's use these. My purple precision point scissors. Say that 10 times fast. Purple precision point, or purple micro tip scissors for the Alzheimer's Association. And then what she did was she sort of followed this angle. I don't know if you can see that very well under my finger. But she followed this angle out to the tip and just made that almost like a banner. Like that. Sort of looks a little bit like a bird beak to me. I don't know why, but it just does. And it looks like she actually did not do that for the ones that are sticking up out of here, but I am going to use this, and it's going to go underneath here. And I'm going to make it kind of stick up a little ways so that I can place the other one. So let's go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing to this one. Snip and snip. And I'm going to actually cut this off so that I can make this shorter without having to worry about this extra piece hitting my adhesive underneath. Okay, so we're going to go like that. And then, let's see if I can lift this up and redo this so that it matches. We'll just turn it around. How's that? We'll do the same thing with this one. So you want to use the end with the little stubs, not the end, not the other end, to do this with. Okay, so there's that one. Let's jump over and do these also. So this one is stuck down the correct way, so I shouldn't have to lift the whole thing out. I can just snip it right here. Same thing for this one. Thank goodness for precision point scissors. All right. Nice. And I'm not going to worry about the ones on the top. I think we're just going to leave those. All right, so we just need some embellishments. They've got some embellishing done up here. They've got some embellishing down here and some right up here, which is our standard 3 spots following the tic-tac-toe grid, kind of, as it were. And I really like the way that visually works. So we're going to do that too. Let me grab some embellishments over here and we'll see which ones we decide to use. I love the typewriter. I think maybe we'll use that. And maybe the phone. My grandmother was a secretary for a department, sorry, didn't mean to say that. A Department of Defense contractor. in San Diego for many, many, many years. And so I feel like she, as an homage kind of to her, like this would be appropriate to use these. So let's see if there's another we could come up with. I love this clock, and I'm not really sure why I like it so much, but I do. And I feel like that is a really eye-catching thing. So I'm going to put that together. That just really speaks to me. So we're just going to use a little bit of repositionable on that. Thank goodness for repositionable adhesive, right? Goodness. That clock would never go down if we didn't have repositionable adhesive. All right. This is going to go right up here. I really like that. That looks nice together. All right, and then we need just a little something for these other areas. So I feel like, excuse me, sorry. I feel like maybe the phone. Goodness. I'm not sure how to make those kind of gel together. That looks pretty good, I think. Maybe a little more like that. Let's do that. Okay, so those are going to go down here. And we could put a little bit of something extra on that, but let's take a look at this first. I'm worried that those two are too much the same color, so I think we need something else. That might be too big. And those don't go together at all. So let's see. The notebook paper is too big to go up there. So let's look at our stickers. Let's see what we've got. What can we do? Through the years, all together, timeless, life well lived. Let's do home and family. Home and family, and we're not going to worry about the typewriter right now. Let's do home and family. or maybe I'll put home. Home can go down here. Family will go up there. Gosh. Maybe we'll use this. With family. Add some adhesive to the back of family so that I can play with it a little bit better. Making those straight can sometimes just drive me crazy. Family all together. Let's give this a little bit of a lift with some leaves. I think that will be the right touch there. We're going to put that kind of like right there, and that like so. I like it. Family, and then maybe we'll add the key. We'll add the key in there too. All right. Stuck to my fingers. It's totally stuck to my fingers. Okay, there. Let's get some repositional on that key so it will stick down. And then this is going to go right up here. Oh, I like that very much. Okay. Oops. Stay. Okay. Let's check this out and see if we need to add anything at all, or if this is how we want to leave this. I like it. Okay. Let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on this whole collection and how this works for you. But here's the sample, and here is my version. I really like the way that turned out. And let me show you the one that I did using the new All-American Blast, because it makes me happy too. So here is All-American Blast in the same project recipe. Super fun and a totally different take. You can see how they look completely different. Like two completely different layouts. Because they are. Even though you follow the same pattern to do both of these. I love it. All right, well, thank you so much for being with me today. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that you will go and get yourself some of the new Legacy of Love products that have come out with this collection. I know they will be something that you'll enjoy having, even if it's, you don't have to be doing a heritage album to use this. I can't stress enough how nice it is to have neutrals like this in your stash. Something that you can go to when you just need a quick layout to go with whatever photos you have. They're timeless, and so really, really fun to have at your disposal. Again, thanks for joining me. Until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Enjoy your day.